We'll give him another minute or two because Raul's often in right about.
Jane Raul will
There's
come in
Jay.
right now.
Did you say Raul too, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yep, there he is.
How do I get my video going here? Oh, start video.
Yeah, lower left.
I think we have all nine,
I
Mr. Mayor.
think we do too. Oh, there's Raul's. I was waiting for his video and looking down, and I forgot when your video goes up, you move up the line. Good to see everyone. I'm going to call the February 17, 2021 regular meeting of the Holland City Council to order. We'll start with a roll call. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Bird.
Oh, he's muted.
Muted. Okay.
Present via video conference from Holland.
Peters.
Present via video conference in Holland, Michigan.
Garcia.
Present via teleconference from Holland, Michigan.
Trethewey.
Attending via teleconference from Holland, Michigan.
Arnshorst.
Attending via teleconference from Holland, Michigan.
Corbin.
Attending via teleconference from Allegan, Michigan.
Hoekstra.
Present via teleconference from Holland, Michigan.
Raymond.
And Raymond is present, attending via teleconference from Holland, Michigan.
Mayor Box.
Present and attending via teleconference from beautiful Holland, Michigan.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. We're going to start this evening as we do and have been for years with an opening prayer this week by Council Member Raul Garcia, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance. Raul, good to see you, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you guys would are willing to join me, I'd like to offer this evening's prayer in Spanish as well. So I'll do in English and then Spanish, kind of the same thing. Gracious Father, as we begin this evening's business on behalf of the city, I want to thank you for your goodness and your faithfulness. Thank you for breath and health and strength and warmth, and for family and friends, for wisdom and understanding, for provision and protection. And at the same time, I recognize that we may all be experiencing these things to various degrees or facing challenges and even tragic circumstances. And I pray that as we encounter neighbors with needs, that we would have the courage to meet those, that as we encounter heartbreak around us, that we would be brave enough to extend tenderness and hope, and help us on council be an example of trustworthy leadership. Help us to be patient with one another, with those we partner with to get things done, and those that we represent. Help us to show kindness and listen well. Help us to believe and bring out the best in each other. Help us to work together with humility and wisdom, considering the challenges of today and the opportunities of tomorrow. Help us to bring you honor, and as we make decisions for the best of the city, help us to make the tough decisions and to celebrate the wins as we continue to plan and prepare for this coming year. Gracioso Padre, al comenzar los negocios de esta noche, en nombre de la ciudad, te doy gracias por lo bueno y fiel que eres. Gracias por el aliento, la salud, la fuerza, la calidez, por familia y amigos, la sabiduría y la comprensión, la provisión y la protección. Y a la vez reconozco que todos podemos estar experimentando estas cosas en varios grados o enfrentando circunstancias desafiantes o incluso trágicas. Oro para que al reconocer y ver las necesidades tengamos el valor de satisfacerlas. Que cuando encontremos angustias a nuestro alrededor, seremos lo suficiente valientes como para extender ternura y esperanza. Ayúdanos como consejo ser un ejemplo de liderazgo confiable. Ayúdanos a ser pacientes unos con otros, con aquellos con los que nos asociamos para cumplir nuestros retos y con aquellos a quienes representamos. Ayúdanos a mostrar amabilidad y escuchar bien. Ayúdanos a creer lo mejor de los demás. Ayúdanos a trabajar juntos con humildad y sabiduría, considerando los desafíos de hoy y las oportunidades de mañana. Ayúdanos a honrarte al tomar decisiones por lo mejor de esta ciudad y ayúdanos a tomar decisiones difíciles y a celebrar las victorias mientras seguimos planificando para el próximo año. In Jesus' name. Amen.
And thank you, Raul. And now we would ask everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag
flag
of the United
United
States of
States of
America
America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
for which it
Which
stands,
stands
one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda, item number 4, is our consent agenda. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine and have previously been reviewed by council as part of our council packet. And they will be enacted with one motion and one vote unless a member of the public or a council member asks for an individual item to be taken off of the consent agenda and placed onto the regular agenda, and it will be placed there in its normal sequence. The items in bold are non-consent, but all of the consent agenda items are listed right here under item number 4. Before we ask if anyone wants anything removed from the consent agenda, first ask that Kathy, would you please review the consent agenda for us? Oh, Kathy's muted.
Oops.
Thank you. 4A, approval of minutes, February 3rd, virtual regular meeting, and February 10, virtual study session. 4C, oath of office. 4D, Board of Public Works, 123.net, dark fiber and co-location lease agreement. 4E, Board of Public Works, 10th Street CSX Railroad Facilities Encroachment Agreement. 4F, Board of Public Works, refunding water supply system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2012A. 4G, Board of Public Works, engineering and design contract for Country Club from 8th Street to Legion Park. 4H, Planning Commission, proposed rezoning of 173 West 20th Street from RTRN Traditional Residential Neighborhood District to the PRD Planned Residential Development District for first reading with final adoption March 3rd. 4I, City Attorney, ordinance amending sections 2-41 and 2-49 of the City of Holland Ordinance Code with final adoption March 3rd, 2021. 4J, City Clerk, claim filed against the city. 4K, Transportation Services, approved consultant proposal for construction administration services for College Avenue Improvement Project. 4L, Purchasing, declare items as surplus. 4M, Finance Department, quarterly investment report. 4N, Downtown Group, Downtown Development Authority, parking lot lease fee adjustments. 4O, Management and Administrative Services, revocable license agreement, projecting sign, 206 River Avenue. 4P, Management and Administrative Services, Principal Shopping District, Board appointments.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there any member of the audience that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? If so, please wave your hand or put your the reaction up. I don't know if we've got the ability to put those little hands up that sometimes we have in meetings or not. Seeing none, are there any members of council who would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none there either, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to adopt agenda as presented.
Moved by Trethewey. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Ernst. Any discussion? All right, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Bird,
Yeah.
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arshorst,
Yes.
Corbin,
yes,
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, item number 5 is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to state their views to the city council. Couple of reminders. One, I do want to let the members of the public know that this is one-way communication. This is your opportunity to speak to us, but we do not answer questions at this time, nor do we engage in dialogue. Also, we limit the amount of time that each person can speak. You have one opportunity to speak this evening for 5 minutes. We don't have the ability to show a timer on the screen, so you're going to need to keep track of time on your end. And also, our Assistant City Manager, Matt Van Dyken, will be keeping track of time as well. And when your 5 minutes has expired, he'll mute your mic at that point. Anyone who wants to speak, just wave your hand or raise the little hand emoji, and I'll look for you and call on you in the order that I see you. And also before you speak, we would ask that you would state your name and address for the record. So is there anyone here who would like to address council at this time? And I think I do see Joe Spalding has a hand up there. And Joe, if you want to speak, I think Matt's going to be sending you a thing to unmute. Looks like you're unmuted. Could you please state your name and address for the record? Oh, we can't, Mr. Spalding, we can't hear you. We'll give you a minute. I'll see if there's someone else who wants to speak at public comment a moment while you're trying to get your microphone fixed there. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? I've got Shanley Poole.
Hello, yes. My name is Shanley Poole, and I live at 932 Chelsea Court in Holland, Michigan. It's great to see all of your faces again. I'd like to thank you once again for the time and service that you give to our city. Your work is incredibly important, and I know you all work so diligently to care for Holland. Today, I have the joy of presenting to you all an extremely promising set of data collected by the West Michigan Environmental Action Council, which may be familiar to some of you at the Strategic Development Team for the Energy Plan. In a recent phone survey of over 1,400 citizens in Ottawa County, WMEAC presented the following statements. Climate change is affecting weather patterns in Michigan. 2, climate change is affecting water levels in Lake Michigan. 3, it is the responsibility of local governments to protect their communities. And lastly, 4, local governments should take action to prepare their communities for the effects of climate change. In each instance, the respondents affirmed these statements in landslide proportions. Ottawa County responded to the first statement, climate change affecting weather patterns in Michigan, with 71% affirming. The second statement, climate change is affecting water levels in Lake Michigan, with 64% affirming. The third, referencing the responsibility of local governments to protect their communities, with a remarkable 74%. And the last, local governments should take action to prepare their communities for the effects of climate change, with 68% affirming. Now, WMEAC's survey also analyzed what area of Ottawa County respondents lived in. And when looking specifically at respondents from the city of Holland, these affirmations all cleared 70%. And when presented with the statement, local governments should take action to prepare their communities for the effects of climate change, an overwhelming 76% of respondents from Holland affirmed this. The data here goes to show that Holland recognizes the toll of climate change that it has taken on both our state and our lake. Now, 2 of my other colleagues will continue to explore these data points in their public comments. So for my time, I'm just going to leave it at this. Holland not only recognizes the effects of climate change in our state, it also craves leaders that will take action to provide and protect our city. I am incredibly grateful and optimistic for the chance that you all have to be those leaders as you implement a new energy plan later this year. Thank you so much for your time and your diligence once again. I hope that this data encourages you in the same way that it has encouraged me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanley. Let's try to go back to Joe Spalding again. See if he's got his microphone fixed. We'll get him unmuted.
Can you hear me?
We can. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Joe Spalding, and I live at 307 Riley, and I'm feeling very relieved that you can hear me. I've got a bit to say about the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission that has been meeting for the last almost half a year now. They've been getting staffed up and ready to take public comment on some of the most important decisions that are going to be making that affect our government in this state and country, our representation for national government over the next 10 years. In 2017, Michigan voters passed Prop 2, which changed the way that our election districts for our state house, state senate, and U.S. House are decided. They used to be decided behind closed doors by a few politicians, a smoke-filled room, all of the crazy, non-transparent nonsense that we're used to hearing about politics in Washington. And now they're decided by a group of citizens that were more or less randomly decided by a process that Michigan voters voted for. Overwhelmingly, it was like 62, 65%, something like that. I was fortunate enough that I got to run the petition program that got that law on the ballot. I built this from scratch. I've got a long story, and I can tie it back to Holland a billion different ways. My favorite tie back is the first weekend of circulation. I was hanging out in my apartment. I went down to the farmer's market. I saw some of our volunteers who I had never met before. I built the training for this program, and they're down there at our farmer's market, and I asked them how many signatures they have. On the very first weekend we were in the field, they had over 1,000 signatures. For almost the entire campaign, Ottawa County was leading the state in number of signatures. All of this is to say that we need to make sure that we have a robust representation from our citizenry in these public meetings, because West Michigan happened because the process for selection of commissioners was random. West Michigan is significantly underrepresented. In fact, there's one representative on the commission that's from the Traverse City-ish area, Petoskey-ish area up north. There's nobody south of Muskegon on the west side of the state. There's nobody west of Lansing on the east side of the state, or Lowell or something like that. So we're completely underrepresented on this commission. That's doubly tragic. It could be doubly tragic because we're one of the fastest growing counties, and we're definitely the fastest growing region in the state. That matters because we're losing a representative in the U.S. House. So all of this is for me, or all this brings me here urging residents in Holland to make sure that they tune in, call in to the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission meetings. They occur every Thursday. The Secretary of State makes it extremely easy for us to access it, and let them know things. Let them know what you feel your community looks like and is defined by. We need to make sure that folks know things, for instance, that we have a very strong Latino community that has ties to both the restaurant and agricultural sectors in our community here that extends from Muskegon and comes back down here and goes farther south. We need to know that we have lakeshore interest at the state level that should be coherently represented in the State House. So that means that we, instead of going way out inland, maybe a state house district should be from Saugatuck to Muskegon, straight up the coast. We need to have that type of representation. And frankly, I don't want to contribute to a bad narrative on the east side of the state, but the east side of the state doesn't know the west side of the state, and we need to make sure our voice is heard at this commission. It's super important. So I urge everybody to look into the commission, step there if anyone needs some resources. I'm available at process_beyond on Twitter, on Facebook as well. And last little thing, my new hobby is streaming these types of city council meetings. I can't believe how great Holland runs every week. I've seen some nightmare scenarios all across the state. I've seen some pretty terrible misogyny just north of us in the same county, and I've seen some like absolutely things that pin your ears back as professionals in Ann Arbor. So thank you so much. And the last thing is snow removal. So good. So good. Mayor Box, we're famous. This is awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Spalding. Next, I believe we have, next one I see is Olivia Fibing.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Olivia Fiebing of 140 East 12th Street, Holland, Michigan.
Sorry about mispronouncing your name there, Olivia.
Oh, totally fine. Thank you. I'd just like to thank you all for the work you do for us in our city. I'm a student studying political science at our own Hope College, and I would like to pass along the message from Hope political science students that if there are any research topics regarding policy, we would be happy to have someone look into them. Thank you all very much.
Great, thank you very much. And I have Michael Stone.
Hello, my name is Michael Stone and I live at 274 East 12th Street in Holland, Michigan. And I'm also here with the West Michigan Environmental Action Council. Thank you for your time and thanks for giving all your time to the City Council as a member. We all know for change to happen in Holland, the people have to be behind it. If we look back on Holland's history, we see that when Dutch settlers saw like Makatawa, they recognized an economic opportunity and began to widen the canal with shovels and pickaxes so freighters could get through. This was no easy task, but the community had set their mind to it. And so in time, they followed through on this pretty big ambition. And the perseverance allowed industry to flow into our lake and town. On these ships sat coal, and this fueled energy to our city. Now you all know that not too long ago, the people of Holland set their sights on a new model for energy, which is gas. They hoped the energy park would significantly reduce CO2 emissions and thus create a new, cleaner future for the city. But the Paris Climate Accord, which our nation recently rejoined, urging for a 50% carbon emission reduction by 2030, more aggressive actions for green energy are going to be essential. And the part that Holland plays in this, our duty to reduce carbon emissions by 50% in the next 9 years is no exception. So the good news is that Holland is ready, and in a recent survey of over 1,400 Ottawa County citizens, the results revealed this. When presented with the statement, climate change is affecting weather patterns in Holland, 71% of those surveyed affirmed this statement. When presented with the statement, it is the responsibility of local governments to protect their communities, 74% responded true. And when asked if local governments should take action to prepare their communities for climate change, 68% of individuals responded yes. So West Michigan is ready to fight for climate change. As you so carefully consider a new energy proposal for our city, I encourage you to be ambitious and to set sizable goals. Each of you has the power to set Holland on a viable and sustainable track. And should you choose to do so, I'm confident that the city would be behind you. And Holland is ready to go green. Thank you once again for the work you do on behalf of the city, and thanks for listening.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Emily Pratt.
Hello, I am also here with the West Michigan Environmental Action Council. My name is Emily Pratt, and I live at 53 South Division Street in Holland, Michigan. I'm incredibly grateful for all the work you've done and continue to do as you serve on the City Council. In a recent phone-based survey conducted by the West Michigan Environmental Action Council, 64% of those individuals interviewed from Ottawa County affirm that climate change is affecting water levels in Lake Michigan. And 68% affirm that they believe local governments should take action to prepare their communities for the effects of climate change. Perhaps many of these individuals visited their favorite beach sites this summer, wouldn't be surprised by these landslide affirmations. The shores of Holland face water levels that had risen severely. Many lakefront homeowners scurried to protect not only their beach, but their very homes, which in some cases sat on the precipice of tumbling into the lake. All sorts of measures have been taken: seawalls, sandbags, rock barriers. These measures are taken in response to the increased temperatures and rainfall that have affected our lake. In regards to future seasons, scientists predict more extreme pendulum swings between low and high water levels in Lake Michigan as climate change continues to affect weather patterns. And although we can protect our shores with seawalls and sandbags, the truth is these measures are only band-aids. And yes, we must work to cover the wound, but we also must tackle the bigger issue, carbon emissions. Ottawa County, as the results of this phone bank suggests, is ready to tackle the bigger issue. When surveying those specifically within Holland, the support increased all the more. 70% affirm that climate change is affecting water levels in Lake Michigan, and 76% said yes in agreement that local governments should take action to prepare their communities for the effects of climate change. One of the ways we can do this is by investing in a more ambitious and greener energy portfolio, one that relies less on gas and coal and more on clean energy such as solar and wind. I hope this news brings you all the confidence to propose an ambitious and sustainable plan for our city. I'm grateful for the time and service you are all giving to Holland. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Emily. Is there anyone else who would like to address council this evening? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Next item on the agenda is item number 9, written petitions and communications. This is the time when we accept the communications that are received in between council meetings. We've set up a special email address, publiccomment@cityofholland.com. For those folks who are not able to attend our meetings virtually. We started that when COVID hit and we had to start limiting the amount of attendance at our meetings. We have received quite a bit of email in that regard. We do not read those emails out loud at city council meetings, but we do accept them into the public record and they are available on the city's website. I would accept or entertain a motion to accept those written communications, the e-comments, into the record. Is there a motion to accept those comments into the record?
Move.
I missed who that was.
Bird.
Bird. Moved by Bird. Is there support?
Support from Hoekstra.
Support from Hoekstra. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, or actually we should do a roll call vote. We're doing all roll calls on these. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arnshorst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Kathy. Next item on the agenda, item 12E 6.1, gifts. Kathy, we're keeping you busy tonight. Could you review the gifts for us, please?
City Manager's Office is pleased to report the following gifts. Parks and Recreation, Holland and Bloom. Women's Literary Club, $200. Parks and Recreation, Kurt and Leah Dykstra, donation for purchase of tree in honor of Jody Science, $200. Parks and Recreation, Sal Perez Scholarship Program, cash receipts reporting dates November 2020 through February 2021, $51. It is recommended that these donations be accepted with appreciation, credited to the appropriate account, and an expression of gratitude be forwarded to said donors.
Is there a motion in regard to the gifts?
Motion to accept with appreciation.
Moved by Trethewey. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Bird. Any discussion? I do want to make a note. It's attached as part of the agenda, the wonderful letter that was received by former Mayor Kurt Dykstra in regard to Jody Science. We've mentioned the loss of Jody to the community. Many of us had the opportunity to work with her over the years. Absolutely wonderful and great donation to a tree in her honor. I'm always impressed with all of the donations that come in. This one is going to be very special for the community moving forward for generations to come. So any other comments? Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arnshorst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Kathy. Next item on the agenda, item 12E 6.2, Downtown Group request for temporary suspension of fees. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. I think Amy did a fantastic job outlining this request and the rationale for this request in her communication to you. And I know that Mr. Van Dyken is available to answer any more specific questions that you might have. When I first received this, I definitely poked and prodded a little bit. I even see Kathy smiling a little bit when you did that, because I just wanted to make sure, that this is something that was requested and approved by the DDA and mostly impacts them. It's not big dollars, certainly to the DDA budget or to a lesser extent to the city budget, but it is important certainly to the businesses. And we didn't want to set a precedent, in the larger sense, but we felt that this was an appropriate 1-year waiver of fees as is outlined in the recommendation. And again, if there's any questions, either myself or probably Matt Van Dyken can further address those.
Any questions from council members?
No, I think if they request it, we should do anything that we can do to help them out in this situation.
Any other questions, comments from council? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion in regard to the request for the temporary suspension of fees.
Motion to support.
Moved by Corbin. Is there support? Support by Byrd. Any discussion? Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arnshorst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, item number 13, communications from the city manager, Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, I do have 3 items actually tonight, but I'll try to be quick, I promise. First, I had shared with council a little bit yesterday, just information on the vaccination clinic that was hosted and put on and arranged by the Ottawa County Department of Public Health yesterday at the Holland Civic Center place. And there's a lot of great feedback. Someone shared with me, I guess there was some great feedback on the radio this morning, but there was a lot of great feedback from people that were there, and also sharing with the Department of Public Health that they've sent a lot of that over to Mr. Van Dyken and myself, really with just a note of thanks, because although they're, very much in the driver's seat of making all of those arrangements, they're in charge of the vaccination process. Just the collaboration and coordination that happened, not just with Venue Works at the Civic Center place, but our park staff that kind of went out there in a immediate sense, because it was really cold yesterday and the snowmelt was having a hard time keeping up. And the cavalry arrived, I think, within about 10 minutes of a phone call from Matt Van Dyken. And we just got that place set up really nicely. So it was really enjoyable to be out there yesterday and just see the community come together in response to what I hope is at least kind of the event of my lifetime, right? This pandemic. So that's first. Second of all, just a special thanks to our transportation and also our parks crew. When we have these extended snow events like we've hopefully coming out the other end, but more seems to be coming, it just provides an opportunity for them to show their best. And I think this was another example where they did exactly that. And we had someone that commented about that earlier this evening. So thank you for that. But a special thanks to our men and women in those 2 departments that continue to provide great services to all of us. And then finally, just a quick note, it is very busy right now. We are in the midst of budget preparation. And as suspected, it's with all the COVID impacts and uncertainty moving forward, it is a probably taller task than normal this year. But with our new finance director, Lynn McCammon, is doing a fantastic job, and we are hard at work. And kind of with that, we're keeping everything else going at the same time, but it is intense these days. So I will continue to communicate to all of you. Hopefully, and I'm sure you read this in great detail every Friday when I send a communication to you, but just to let you know kind of what's going on, and also upcoming meeting schedules as we go through the next several months. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Beek. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda, appointments and communications from the mayor. I do have an appointment this evening. I would ask that the council accept the appointment of Drew Durham to the Board of Review for a partial term, that partial term expiring December 31 of 2022. Mr. Durham will fill the vacancy left by board member August Overway. Oh, I apologize. I think I stole Mr. Trethui's thunder there. I clicked on the wrong link. I apologize. I take all of that back. Ask the council to accept the appointment of Eva Masters to the Police Community Relations Commission, the PCR, as the LAUP, Latin Americans United for Progress, representative for the partial term, said term expiring December 31, 2021. Ms. Masters will replace Commissioner Solomon Caballero Jr. And also please accept the resignation of Solomon Caballero Jr. from the Police and Community Relations Commission, the PCR, as the Latin Americans United for Progress representative. And that resignation is effective February 16 of 2021. And I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion to accept both suggestions.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Trethui, for that incredibly succinct motion. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Aaron Source. Is there any discussion?
One question, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
So if they belong to an organization, they can have someone appointed to a committee? They don't necessarily have to live within the city?
There are different requirements for different boards and commissions in regard to who may serve and who may not serve. And we do have some boards and commissions where particular representatives are chosen by particular organizations to be members of that board. And there is not necessarily a requirement that every member of every board be a resident of the city of Holland. And this would be one of those instances. Another instance of that, just as an example, is Civic Center Place Board. There's a PSD representative on the board and there's a DDA representative on the board. Both of those representatives are chosen by the DDA and the PSD.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? All right, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Ernst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Next item, item number 15, appointments, motions, and communications from council members. And I'm going to turn it right over to Mayor Pro Tem Trethewey in regard to, I believe he does have an appointment to make, and I don't think it's going to be anybody's surprise as to what it is.
Motion to what the mayor just said a couple minutes ago about Drew.
Well, we don't.
Seriously. I'll be making a motion, or this is in the form of a motion to appoint Drew Durham to the Board of Review for the partial term. Partial term set expiring December of 22. Mr. Durham will be filling the vacancy left by August Overway, who can no longer obviously serve in that position. So that is in the form of a motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trethewey. Is there support for the motion?
Support.
Support by Horst. Any discussion? Seeing none. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Corbin,
Yes.
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Arnshorst,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. Any other communications from council members? Yes, Mr. Byrd.
Yes, I guess this is to Keith. This is regarding the Civic Center vaccination thing, or vaccination that went on this past week. I wanted to know how long before the time before with the ask to actual actions.
So thank you. Matt's going to maybe correct me because I might be off a day or two, but I think I had an initial text communication with the Ottawa County Health Director last Wednesday, and we set up, Matt gave her and her team a tour of the Civic Center last Thursday, and the vaccination clinic happened on Tuesday.
What was that number again that we had go through there?
I heard all day yesterday 1,500, but then I saw in the news today maybe it was 1,300. So
Matt knows.
I don't know which one is right, but it was a lot, and it was the large. I do know that they looked at this site because it was the largest clinic that they've held to date. And that they really found, and Matt, I know you can weigh in too, they felt that the site worked better than the other sites that they've had to date for the number of people that they had.
Yeah, Quincy, they told us it was about 1,600 doses.
Wow.
And we, Keith said he stopped over there. I kept popping the camera up in there, and it was just a constant flow and turnover of people on the gym floor of, spread out 6 feet apart, getting their time that they needed to be sitting down before they could leave. And they just kept rolling through there. So they did a really nice job. I mean, I was impressed by not only the staff over there at the Civic Center and what they were doing to get things set up, but the Ottawa County Health Department has this pretty much down to a science, and everybody knows their job. They walk in, they do it, and before you know it, 1,600 vaccines have been administered. So it was pretty neat to be able to see that firsthand.
That's pretty amazing. I just think about the excellence that is Holland, and to have a call and on a Wednesday, and then Tuesday evening, it's all done. That to me is amazing, because when we look at the news and we see how a lot of different areas are having turmoil going on, and we're able to execute something at the drop of a hat, and not just execute it, but executed it to the level where if it's 1,300 or if it's 1,600, those are numbers that are pretty impressive. So I kudos to you, to the workers from the city of Holland who did that, put that on, and also for Ottawa County as well. Boiler up. And then also, I wanted to speak again on supporting local businesses. And I'm very happy that our restaurants are open. What I'm going to say may be a little, some may take it wrong. I won't say take it wrong, but some may not like it. But, I see what happened with Marlena, and I see all of the other businesses, as I spoke before, who have lost their businesses due to COVID. And I'm a little intrigued, but also very supportive of what Marlena has done to be able to sustain herself. She's not from here. she comes from a whole different country. And as we know, in America, we have different ideologies. But when you step outside of America, those ideologies seem to be similar when you step outside of a different country. And theirs are as so different being from different countries. And for her to come here and do what she's doing, trying to support her and her family and also do it safely, I commend her for that. And I hope that she does get through this and makes it well. Because I look for all of our businesses who are still in business to succeed. And I'm saddened to see the ones that have not been able to weather the storm. So that may be a little controversial to some, but that's how I feel.
Thank you, Quincy. Any other communications, motions from council members? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 17, and I would entertain a motion to enter a closed door session to review a written legal opinion with our city attorney.
So moved.
Moved by Trethewey. Is there support? Support by Byrd. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Van Beek.
Oh, I don't want to bypass any discussion, but just kind of the transition for the viewing public, and I'll just go through any of that. That would be helpful, but I don't want to interrupt, Mr. Mayor.
I was going to do a little bit of that. You want me to start and you can fill in where the things that I may have forgotten?
Go for it, Mr. Runner of the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mr. City Manager and eminent assister. We are going to be moving into, if we vote on this, which I think that we will, we'll be moving into a closed session. We will not be doing any more business, any public business following the closed session. The only thing that we will be doing is adjourning the meeting. We as council members will stay on the Zoom meeting. Everyone who is not going to be part of that closed session will be asked to leave the Zoom meeting if they don't leave on their own. And I think that Matt has the ability to be able to remove them from the meeting. So we cannot have any members of the general public here, only members of council and those members of staff who are necessary to be part of that closed session. Anything that I forgot, Mr. Van Beek?
Nope, I think that's good, but people that want to stay by when we come back into session, Mr. Van Dyken will kind of readmit people from the waiting room if they're still here. And then they can see the last motion that I know council likes to make so much at the end of every council meeting.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you as a member of the public, you are welcome to wait in the waiting room and watch us adjourn at the end if you'd like to do that. But it's generally not very exciting to watch that adjournment unless Mr. Peters is involved. So with that, Kathy, would you please call the roll to have us move into a closed door session?
Hoekstra,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Trethewey,
Yes.
Ernst,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We will now ceremonially